there's this story that's been fueling a new wave, an increase of xenophobia in the right, and increasing their harshness on policies of illegal immigration, and that is the news story of Mollie Tibbits' death. So Mollie Tibbits was a young lady. She was a student, and she lived in Iowa, so middle, like, farmland of the country, middle of the country, you know. So apparently on July 18th, she went out for a jog at night, and she wasn't found the next morning. So it took a month, roughly, to find her body, but she was dead, unfortunately, and it looks like she died of murder. So her murderer is named, try to pronounce this right, Christian Baena Rivera, and as you can tell, he is a Mexican immigrant, not a legal immigrant, but it is confirmed that he is an illegal immigrant into the U.S. So obviously, this happened before with the right. There was the case of Kate Spade where she was murdered, and the right just caught on fire, especially the Trump fan base, because the killer was also an illegal immigrant. So we've seen this type of thing before, where unfortunately young people die, and it's because of illegal immigrants. So the right just wants to take this as an excuse and politicize their deaths into being about securing the border. So the Democrats' response, however, is very bad, and that's partially why more people are viewing illegal immigrants as the enemy. So there was a response by Elizabeth Warren on this. She did an interview the other day, which, not gonna lie, it was a very good interview up until that part of the interview, the last section, I believe, where she was asked about Mollie Tibbits specifically, and her response was essentially dodging the question, where she shifted it over to Trump's border policy with separating families from each other, which, yes, that is very bad, but um, but that is not what the guy was asking. He was talking about Mollie Tibbets specifically, and she never actually answered the question. She just gave the old establishment answer of how tragic it is, and then, but let's talk about this thing that Trump's doing that's bad. So, very bad answer. Many people on both sides, even some liberals, didn't like it. I personally thought it was a pretty bad way to dodge the question, and for Elizabeth Warren, that's a shame, since she is one of the best senators in the U.S., not taking corporate PAC money. He's right up there. Just my plug for Warren for 2020. So, how should you respond to this then if the Democrats, not even establishment Democrats, are answering this horribly? Simple answer is do what the right likes to do, funnily enough, and point out facts over feelings. You'll hear this response a lot just towards SJW stereotypes and some liberals. So we can use that strategy that Ben Shapiro's coined against them and give them a taste of their own medicine. So when you look at illegal immigrants and the homicide rates compared to them, you'll see up here from Business Insider that the immigrant population is going up and up and up, specifically legal immigration, but then the violent crime rate's going down, 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 which, if it's going up by that much, it's over doubling, should go up at least somewhat. Now, if you're looking at this, you might think that this is a case of correlation not equaling causation, which you could be right, seeing as how they do make up roughly like 3% or somewhat of the people living in the United States. So I will just point you out to the site where they got this from. That is the Cato Institute, which you will know as a right-wing think tank slash website slash propaganda machine. Now, to Cato's credit, they are libertarian-ish overall, so you could take that with a grain of salt, though, because there are many so-called libertarians who are actually just right-wingers who care about weed. You know, the famous stereotype that libertarian's just a right-wing or just a Republican who likes weed. It's not true for what a libertarian is, but there are many people who view it that way. The best way to define a libertarian, if someone's a libertarian or a Republican, just ask them about their opinion on immigration. they say build the wall, they're definitely not libertarian, because libertarians believe in the freedom of movement. So for this study specifically, they looked at homicide rates specifically in Texas, which is a big border state and where many of these problems are occurring. The last one was in California with Kate Spade, but they looked at the homicide rate and convictions per 100,000 residents. You'll see that legal immigrants are least likely to commit any homicides, with not even one per 100,000. Illegal immigrants aren't as likely. They're double that of legal counterparts, which you'll think is bad. However, once you get to the native people, which aren't specifically Native Americans or even white people, it could be anyone of any race as long as they are in the United States and were born in the United States specifically, you'll see that their homicide rate and conviction rate is almost double that of the average illegal immigrant. And coming from a state in Texas that's very red, very tough on crime, and very tough on illegal immigrants, you'd expect that to be higher. Well, maybe it is higher. It's just that maybe most illegal immigrants just want to come here to support their families, and we should be kinder to them, seeing as how most of them aren't committing any crimes. I'm not saying a freedom of movement like many libertarians, because Milton Friedman actually coined this phrase that you can't have a welfare state and freedom of movement at the same time, which is 100% true. We should have some form of border protection, which we already do, and illegal immigration itself has been on the decline since the year 2000. So overall, I don't think illegal immigration is that big of an issue. Actually, there's many bigger issues, mainly health care, getting a living wage, getting rid of some student debt and putting tuition caps on so that colleges can't charge you insane prices, so you'll be in debt to them forever, capping that tuition. So whenever a right-winger asks you about illegal immigration and points to this case of Mollie Tibbits for the next couple months or so, just send them to this link, please, and shut them up.